Hello, it's Doris, and I've been enjoying watching all the goal setting and planning and how did last year go, and I love all those videos that are coming out this time of year. And so I've been making a list of everything that I want to do, and I decided not to call it goals because I chose a word for the year to kind of set the tone for my year, and my word this year is random, because I'm not saying I have OCD. I don't have OCD, but I have a few tendencies in that direction, and I've just in the last few years gotten really into planning and kind of let it take over my life, and I want to just tone it down a little and just enjoy a little more without checking off so many boxes in the process, if that makes sense. So that being said, the last 3 years, I set a goal of 52 books, and the first 2 years of that 3 years I barely met the goal, but I did meet the goal because I'm very goal oriented. The last month I had to read a few of my son's shorter books, if you get my meaning, but you know, I made it. And then this year I nailed it last month, and I'm at 60 books now. And the last 2 or 3 years I've really, not years, the last 2 or 3 months I've really picked up the pace a great deal, reading, you know, double-digit books a couple times in a month. So I was really tempted to set my goal at 100 for 2017. And then I watched, was it Portal in the Pages? I watched her video, and she talked about this same thing, like trying to go for too much and not enjoying the process. So I thought, if it's not broke, let's not fix it. So I'm just keeping my goal at 52, because 52 is what I feel comfortable with doing and what I feel like I should do. And I definitely think that I will do more than that in 2017 because I'm on an upward curve. But there's no point in, I mean, what's the point? I'm just going to keep it at 52 and enjoy whatever I do above and beyond that, but I definitely want to do 52. So then I want to build my library, and maybe you noticed I've got a few books on my shelf now as opposed to all the ribbons in jars. So I've done some rearranging, made room for my new interest, and I want to build my library. For example, I don't necessarily want to buy all new books, which I've definitely been doing this past month. I was pretty bad this last week. I'll get to that eventually. But I also want to buy some of my books that I love and don't own, or maybe I do own them and they're the horrible movie version from 1962 with tape on the spine. So I lost a Prayer to Owen meaning. I can't find it anywhere. So I want to work on making sure that my absolute favorites are in my collection. Like, I read Book Thief a couple years ago, and that's one of my top favorites, and I've never owned that one. So I want to work on my collection, but I also want to work on my collection overall, because one thing I did notice these last few months as well is that I've been reading predominantly young adult this year, or at least the second half of the year, and I'm not knocking that at all. I love young adult, and I'm a high school ESL teacher, and I just am in good with the librarians. I teach at 2 high schools, so I have access to top-notch young adult literature, the trendiest young adult books of the year, and it's just easy for me to get those. It's been less easy to get my hands on quality adult novels, so I'm changing that by buying my own. And I'm gonna do a haul video and show you the damage soon, but I think that'll be the best way for me to balance my young adult and adult reading. So I'm gonna focus. I really want to choose wisely. I don't want to just build a humongous TBR, definitely not. But I want to focus on specific areas and keep myself in check. So I want to replace my favorites that I don't have or they're not lovely. And I really liked, I watched Momentomori's video on 2017, and he's reading all of Faulkner in 2017, and I thought that is so cool. And last year he read all of, oh goodness, I can't remember at the moment. Oh, anyway, I'll link his video. But I just think that's the neatest idea. So I read a Sandra Cisneros recently and loved it and thought, well, I'll just read all of hers. I think I read the 2 that I want to read of hers, honestly. So then I thought, well, I'll read all of Amy Tan's, and I have 2 of hers that I haven't read. So I'm definitely going to read those this year. And I kind of want to read Steinbeck, but I've read probably half of his, but he's got a large collection, probably maybe 40% of his. But there's just too many. I don't want to force that many in a year. So I want to read some Steinbeck this year, but I think I want to give myself a 2-year window for that. But I really like that idea to focus on one author. So those are some ideas. And I also, I'm reading, here's my Amy Tan. But I think, you know, having that plan and focusing my buying on some of my well thought out ideas is a good way to control myself, maybe. I also am reading this After Alice, and I thought it would be really neat to collect some Alice in Wonderland spin-offs. So I know I'm reading this one. I'm almost done. And there was a book I read when I was a teenager, Go Ask Alice. It was very disturbing. I remember that much. I want to get that one again and reread it. I know Neil Gaiman has a neat one, Neverwhere. And there's a new young adult one. What was that one? It's by the girl, the woman that wrote Cinder. It's very Heartless. I'm going to get that one. So I think that'll be fun. And I saw somebody else. There's an adult novel that's set in a psych ward, and there's some thriller mystery, something about Alice. I'm going to get that one. So a lot of neat ideas. So I think that'll be a fun collection to focus on this year. Then my son, he's 13. So I want to, he still likes me to read aloud to him. He still tolerates that. So I want to read To Kill a Mockingbird with him this year, just to make sure that he gets that book. It's a 9th grade. He's going to be in 8th grade in the fall. He's in 7th grade now. So To Kill a Mockingbird is a 9th grade book list here, and it's read most of the time. It's the one they usually do read. But I would hate for him to get in the 9th grade and not read it, and I want to make sure that he reads it well. So I'm going to read that one aloud to him this year. And we're in the middle of the 5th Wave series by Rick Yancey, and I want to finish that. And I'm going to read Animal Farm with my ESL students. She's putting on a show. My goodness. I'm reading Animal Farm with my ESL students in the spring, and I think I might slip that one in with my son as well. It's a short one, and I kind of want him to be exposed to some of that iconic literature. And on the similar note, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to try to read To Kill a Mockingbird in Spanish this year. There's 31 chapters. Yeah. There's 31 chapters, so I think if I try to read a chapter a week, then I'll make it through. Yeah. She won't ever try that again. And then tidying, I'm not so concerned about my TBR shelf because it was just maybe 6 or 7 books, and I gotta quit saying this, but I've expanded it a great deal this month. But anyway, it's still not bad. But there's a couple books like this one. I think I bought this one in 2012. I read the first one aloud to my son, and I bought this one, and then we never really got into it. So I spent $10 on it, so I feel like I should at least read it. So I want to finish that one, and I have one more that I started. I can't remember the title of it at the moment, but I started with I had an ESL student from Russia, and it's Russian literature he wanted me to read. So I was reading that with him, and I got halfway through and he left, and so I never finished. I don't like unfinished things. So I just want to finish off some of that lingering stuff. I want to tidy up my Goodreads. I've never really used it. I signed up for it years ago and then just didn't use it. So I want to tidy that up and get my books from this year and last year put on, and then some of my old favorites. I want to do that, and I have a list. Oh, I have a Hobonichi. I want to try doing more journaling about the books that I've read. So this is a Japanese daily journal. So I have monthly pages, and there's 2 versions of the monthly pages. There's also this kind of list of them. And then there's daily pages as well. So I thought this would be great to write down quotes or my thoughts on books as I finish them, anything that came up that day. I can write videos that I've watched, book recommendations and things in here, just to help me, because I don't remember everything very well, and I just thought that would be a neat way to get more out of what I read. And then I wanted to focus on community. So I want to try to do 1 challenge a month on BookTube. I just think they're fun, and I like that community aspect. I did Cramathon a couple weeks ago, and I got a lot out of it. So I want to do that. I want to be more responsible about commenting. And that's a tidying issue too, because I've had a YouTube channel for crafting for a while now. And I've separated my BookTube from the other channel, and now I need to get all my bookish people over onto my BookTube channel. So it's just housekeeping issues. And what else? And local events, yes. I live in the Nashville area. I'm not even a member of a book club at all. So I want to see if there's a book club that I want to join, maybe start one at my high school with some of the English teachers. I know there's one with the library with the high school kids, so I need to do that. But there's a lot of local events in this area, just really neat local events. So I want to get on a list somehow, find out when all those are, and get involved with more of those. So those are my plans. I'm not calling them goals. I crossed out goals and wrote plans because I don't want to get involved in the tracking aspect. I just want to have fun and be conscious of my resources and use those wisely. So thanks for watching, and I'm enjoying all of your videos tremendously. And if you watched mine, I appreciate it, and I hope I said something interesting, something relevant to your world. Thanks for watching, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.